But in the meantime, to recognize that people outside our church are feeling the Spirit and acting on spiritual gifts and having incredible experiences and miracles being performed in their lives and prayers being answered. That's one of my favorite things about living in the Bible Belt, was these wonderful evangelical Christians that knew God and were aware of His hand in their lives. Like I said, as a naive missionary, I remember meeting people and inviting them to be baptized so they could have the gift of the Holy Ghost and feel the fruits of the Spirit. And sometimes they'd say, oh, I've felt those things. In fact, I felt them at my church. And I'm like, you can't. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm trying to wrap my 19-year-old mind around this. Like, is that even possible? Please rejoice in the generosity of God, who loves all of His children and wants to shed forth the blessings of His gospel upon one and all. In fact, in verse 46, as this chapter comes to a close, notice what these believers scratching their head, going, wait a minute, I thought that belonged to us. These are outsiders. What's happening? 46, they heard them speak with tongues and magnify God. And then answered Peter, can any man forbid water that these should not be baptized, which have received the Holy Ghost, as well as we? And nobody could. Any object to this? Can anyone forbid? Well, nobody did. So Peter commanded them to be baptized in the name of the Lord, and they were. Then prayed they him to tarry certain days, and he stayed with them. I love the way he put that. Can any man forbid them coming in? Because God obviously isn't forbidding it. In fact, He's welcoming it. He's welcoming them. He's giving them the same Spirit He gave us. In some ways, if Acts 2 is the Jewish day of Pentecost, then Acts 10 is the Gentile day of Pentecost. They're speaking with tongues. They're magnifying God. They're rejoicing in the gifts of the Spirit. And Peter recognizes, that's the same gift I've received. And the same Spirit and the same loving Lord at work within us both. That's beautiful. I'll put it this way as we close chapter 10 and move forward to chapter 11. This is something I hope you'll think about longer than what I'll talk about. I hope you'll wrestle with this, because there is a proving of contraries that needs to take place that's going to require a lot of core strength to keep the proper balance. Here's how it usually works. To couple proving contraries with the stages of faith, creation, fall, atonement, in creation stage, we're too far on one extreme. In the fall stage, we overswing the pendulum and overcorrect instead of correcting, and we're on the opposite extreme. And then atonement stage, we finally have struck the proper balance, and we're proving the contraries. Now, when it comes to exclusivity and inclusivity, because that is a contrary that's hard to wrap our heads around. Remember the Abrahamic covenant itself. In thee and in thy seed. That's identity and exclusivity. I've got a chosen people. Ooh, that doesn't go really well in our ecumenical time period, in our post-colonial age, when everybody is supposed to be treated equal. Well, they are. Then what on earth are you doing talking about a chosen people? Well, finish the statement. In thee and in thy seed, Abraham, shall all the families of the earth be blessed. This is exclusivity in pursuit of radical inclusivity. I'm trying to bless everyone. I just do it in an organized way by choosing chosen people to go choose everyone else. And the moment they stop choosing others is the moment they stop being chosen themselves. We must remain a missionary church. It's who we are. It's who God intends us to be, for their sake as well as ours. But here's the issue. In the creation stage, when it's all black and white and it's all commitment and sometimes not a lot of nuance, what ends up happening is it's all us, and we're God's chosen people, and so we must be better, and we're superior, and this pride goes to our head, and we want people on their knees bowing before us. That's not good. the good side is we do have a sense of identity. We know who we are. And that is important. You see, the challenge with creation and fall, they both have positives, but they also have connected negatives. Okay? It's only in the atonement stage that the various pros outweigh and offset the various cons. Okay? Now, this is how it works when it comes to this issue. In creation stage, it's all about identity. I know who I am. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Or I am a child of the covenant and a disciple of Jesus Christ. For Peter and those like him, I'm a Jew, the house of Israel, and I'm God's chosen people. You've got to start there to give yourself some kind of identity. You're defining yourself. And even the word define, the F-I-N there, fiend, means end. You define something by describing the end of it. This is the end of this object that differentiates it from the beginning of the next object. Okay, that's what definition's all about. We need that to know who we are. But if we only hold to that, then I've got it all and they've got nothing, and it's a me versus them kind of mentality. All kinds of friction there. So what do? Well, we grow and progress into the next stage. Now, it's a fall because we sometimes feel like, wait, I'm not sure if I know who I am anymore if I'm not better than everyone else. And what's the point of, if God treats everyone equal and he's no respecter of persons, then I have nothing worth sharing with other people. And like I said, we overcorrect to the point that we lose our identity. And it's just kind of one big mushy mass. And we stop being missionaries. I mean, we stop being pushy, but now we don't push anything at all. You understand the process here? It's really fascinating to see how it goes in an individual life. Maybe you've passed through these stages yourself. And I was such a zealous missionary. I wanted everyone to join the church, and I was overzealous and bold as well as overbearing and diligent, but without any temperance, all those kinds of things, right? But then do we overcorrect and like, why was I that kind of missionary? And then we stop being missionaries at all. And their church is just as good as mine, and their truth, everyone can have their own truth, and all roads lead to Rome, and it's totally fine. Like, ooh, yikes, you've overcorrected. No, there's a reason there's a chosen people. You just got to keep choosing others. In some ways, you picture a cell, for you biology majors out there. A cell has to have a membrane to define it, to establish what it is and allow it to function. But that cell membrane better be semi-permeable, because some things need to go out and some things need to come in. Like the Jaredite barges, they better be tight like unto a dish, but you better have holes, because air needs to come in, but not water. You need to be discerning here. Well, the Lord is asking Peter and the early Christian church and the current Christian church to be discerning as well, and come to a point in the atonement stage where we know who we are and we're grateful for it. We overcome our sense of superiority, but hold to our sense of responsibility. We know we have something to offer, but we know others do too. And we rejoice in the Lord's hand in all of these areas, even as he tries to lead us all to become closer to Christ. Is that making sense? Again, wrestle with this. And I think the best evidence that we can have is the kind of evidence God showed there. His blessings, his Spirit, his gifts. There's actually a funny moment in early church history where the sisters of the Relief Society in Nauvoo were given power to bless one another. This wasn't priesthood office, but it was the power of faith, the power of prayer, and the power of laying on of hands to bless one another. Blessings of comfort and of counsel and of healing. There were healing meetings among the sisters of the Relief Society, and they were powerful. Before a woman would give birth, she'd ask for sisters to come and lay their hands on her head to prepare her. And who better to do that than a fellow woman who's been through those things? It's amazing. And at one point, one of the men was concerned, like, I don't know, should these sisters be doing it? And one of the church leaders pushed back and said, well, obviously God's okay with it. since God is honoring their ministration. Their healings are working. Okay? And so again, you picture Peter reassuring these head-scratching Jewish Christians, they're feeling the same spirit you are. Be okay, since God is obviously okay with it too. Okay?